Hi guys. So you remember the pens that we talked about with Grandmaster Tima? We're about to learn something that very similar to a pen. You remember there's only three pieces that can create a pen? The bishop, the queen, and the rook? Well, what we're about to learn is called a skewer. Now, has anybody heard of what a skewer really is? A skewer is kind of like a sharpened stick that a lot of people use to stick meat on. For either to toast it or to eat it. Well, a skewer in chess, it kind of has the same kind of meaning. We'll look at it in a minute. A skewer is like a backward pen. Remember, in a pen, we had our piece was attacking a weak piece, and behind that weak piece was a strong piece. For example, the bishop is pinning the knight to the queen, because if the knight were to move, he would capture the queen. So it's kind of like there's an actual needle or a pin stuck through the knight to the queen, because this knight cannot move. Well, a skewer is the exact opposite. A skewer is when the stronger piece is attacked, so it must move out of the way, exposing a weaker piece behind it. Let's take a look at one. So we're going to ignore the pieces on the top and the bottom of the board. Let's say in this position, the black king is skewered to the white queen. It's almost like there's a pin running through, or a skewer running through the rook to the king to the queen. So after the king steps out of the way, because of course we have to save our king if he's in check, we capture the queen. So skewers happen, as I said, by queens, rooks, or bishops. And they're easy to miss. In this position, we have even material. 2 rooks for each side, a bishop for each side, a queen for each side, and 6 pawns for each side. Pretty simple to see that white has this idea of playing queen captures g7. Checkmate. See, the king can't recapture because the bishop on b2 defends the queen. That looks pretty dangerous, don't you think? Well, in reality, black has a skewer here that could put an end to every plan white has. Why don't you take your time and see if you can find it? The correct move is bishop to f6. Skewering the queen to the bishop. You see, the queen cannot capture this bishop because there's a pawn defending it. And after the queen steps aside to save herself, black wins a piece. Bishop takes b2. So that's a very common bishop skewer. Another kind of pretty common skewer is when one side's queen gets too crazy and too active. Let's just shuffle the pieces around a little bit. Oh, that won't work. Now, in this position, black can cause white huge problems by playing the move either rook d to e8 or rook f to e8. Let's say rook f to e8. That move attacks the queen and skewers it to the bishop. After the queen moves, black will capture that bishop and win a piece. So, of course, black is winning now because he has extra bishop. So, skewers come in all kinds of shapes and sizes here. One of the most famous skewers ever is from a scene in the movie Searching for Bobby Fischer, which is a movie about actually one of the greatest well-known chess players of all time, Josh Waitzkin. And he was playing in a national championship game, and his opponent, who I for the life of me I can't remember his name, thought he was winning because his pawn was more advanced than Josh's was. So it was white to move in this position. Josh had the black pieces. White played a4, black played h5. a5, h4, a6, h3, a7, h2, and now it seems that white's just a little faster. a8 queen. Now white's made a queen. He promoted his pawn. Remember, when the pawn gets to the other side of the board, it can be promoted into a knight, a bishop, a rook, or a queen. So white promoted into a queen, and now black played the move h1 and promoted his pawn to a queen. And now we see white can resign, white can give up, because the black queen skewers the king to the white queen. The king has to step aside. Black wins the queen, and black wins the game. So it's very important to remember how skewers can benefit you. In fact, in this last position you just saw, white had a queen first. White had a significant advantage until black promoted the pawn, skewered the king to the queen, won the queen, and won the game. This is a very important idea to remember. Keep it in the back of your mind. It might save you from a tough situation sometime. Hello again.